Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is part 2 of painting skin tones. If you're thinking that these are finished, well, you're absolutely wrong. This is only a base point of skin tone. From here, you can go any direction you want. And no, they are not desaturated. It's just because of the light that I have on them. And no, the strong, harsh shadow at the bottom is not a brown. It's just the shading of that light. I have a spotlight at the top. And yes, we have a long way to go. There's eyes, there's lips, there's hair, and there's so many other subtle skin tones in the skin that need to be added in. Which brings me to this. You can use any paint you want. You don't have to thin it down. However, if you don't thin it down like these, you're not going to be able to run it through an airbrush. An airbrush must have a milk consistency paint to be able to run it through that small nozzle. Now that brings me to the next part. Adding water to your mix depends on the kind of paint you are using. If you're using ink, well then you don't need to add any water. It's already thinned down. And if you want to start with a dark and vibrant base, then it's going to be really difficult to add the other skin tones. But if you start with a light base, then you can go in any direction you want to go. That brings me to this. If you want to purchase misfit prints, go ahead. But that is exactly how your work will end up looking, like a misfit paint. So if you want to have a good product, you spend just a little bit more. Not only that, but you show that you appreciate the work that goes into creating one of these sculpts. So they're $10, $12. Some even cost as much as $40. But there's a reason why we buy such nice sculpted things. Because even if you have a low ability or skill level in painting, the finished product looks amazing. But if you're purchasing sculpts that are poorly printed, poor quality, then you're gonna have a poor quality painted print. And you will never be able to sell it. You'll never be able to use it because you'll never be happy with the end result. So spend just a little bit more, appreciate another artist's work, and then keep it for as long as you can. Paint it as long as you want because it's a quality resin and it will hold up. If it's not a quality resin, you'll have a very difficult time creating a beautiful print. Now let's move on and let's select the one that we want to work with. This is where we are at this point. What do you mean no? We have to choose somebody. Somebody's got to give in. Well, let's just pick one and go with it. Now, before we start painting, I do recommend that you pick up some inexpensive synthetic brushes like this for washes and large applications, and then a nice set of fine tip brushes. These are actually for nail art, but they're perfect for those tiny little details. They go from 15 millimeter to 5 millimeter. And then, yes, I don't care how good your eyesight is. Having a pair of goggles is essential. Less eye strain, easier to paint. It is so much nicer to be able to see what you're painting. Now let's get to the painting. So I've chosen to paint with one of my favorite brushes, the 5 millimeter, very fine tip brush, just like this. I will speed paint, so I will put in a few little blurbs here and there as to what I'm doing. But then we'll go over it toward the end. And then I've got a surprise for you at the very end. So don't tune out because this might not be what you're looking for. The end may be what you're looking for. there you have it. I had to paint most of it off camera because the very tiniest of details are difficult to paint underneath the lens, even using the goggles. But this is what it looks like completely painted. So I've added a little bit more light and I've angled it so you can see that there really aren't any dark shadows. It is not oversaturated. It is not undersaturated. It's where I need it to be. And every artist has a different take on their favorite character. Now I'm going to add a little bit of dry brush on the hair so that I can get that gray tone, that older gentleman's look that I want to have on my Bruce Wayne. And this, again, depends on what you want to see, how you want to depict your character. So adding as much gray as you want or as little gray. It depends on what time period you want your Bruce Wayne to be from. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because every single portrait is its own project. Even though I've painted the base tones, each character carries a different tone of skin regardless of the character that you choose or the skin that you may choose. Even though they're Caucasian skin, each person has a different tonal value in their skin, different spots, different tones in different areas. And the older they are, the more colors are actually visible on the skin. The younger they are, the softer the tones. So there's less to paint and easier to blend in the tones. Now, this is what the finished portrait looks like. And now we're waiting for it to dry because I want to add the highlights to the eyes and the lips. I've already painted the eyes. They're so tiny I can't show you. All they are is little blue dots, a black dot in the center, well, toward the top, and then a white dot off to the side of that black dot. But now I want to highlight it, make it look wet by adding this, the Tamiya X22. And this is the new bottle that I purchased. Cost you $8, but it goes a long way. And yes, you definitely have to clean out your brush after using this because this is a lacquer and enamel. You need to clean it, otherwise it will harden and it will totally ruin your expensive brush. Here it is completed with those highlights or that wet look to the teeth and the eyes, and of course the lips. Now, here's a surprise that I have for you. If you have made it to the end of this video, you realize that I did not paint all 5 of what we chose. I still have Constantine. Personally, I have no interest in a Constantine. I only bought it because I wanted to paint it. But guess what? I'm not going to paint it. One of you is. So you need to tell me why you need this Constantine head to your collection. The same with the Riddler. I only got it because I wanted to paint it. So I've added the base tone for you. I am not going to finish it. One of you is going to finish it. And you'll have to show us the finished product. And here's the third one. I have no interest in this character. Besides, I have 2 of them. So this is another for one of you to paint. Either you choose or I choose at random and you get what you get. So let me know why you want this character in your lineup. With that said, keep painting. We'll see you next time.